Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. Today we are doing another St. Patrick's Day suggestion with the 1999 action dark comedy thriller Boondock Saints. Here is your trivia question for today. How many times is the F word used in this film? The answer will be at the end of this video. Boondock Saints is a movie that takes place in Boston and centers around a pair of Irish brothers known as the McManuses. You have Sean Patrick Flannery as Connor McManus and Norman Reedus as Murphy McManus. The McManus brothers are just your average Bostonians. They work at a meatpacking plant, they enjoy going out and drinking with their friends, especially on St. Patrick's Day, and they tend to get in a fight if someone is being very rude, which unfortunately ends up being the Russian mob. Now, the McManus brothers do end up killing those members of the mob, but only in self defense. Now, the brothers end up getting what they believe is a message from God, letting them know that they should be the ones to take out the wicked and the evil. So they decide to go after both the Russian and Italian mafias. And apparently, the only people on their trail are Willem Dafoe's FBI agent, Paul Smecker, and a few of Boston Police Department's detectives. I can't imagine anyone else being the McManus brothers, but there was some potential casting with this movie. Apparently, Mark Wahlberg was almost in it, but he decided to do Boogie Nights instead. Ewan McGregor was very close to being one of the brothers, but when he met with Troy Duffy, they had some drinks together and then had a big argument over the death penalty and had a falling out. One of my favorite pieces of information is Miramax had a couple options they wanted for the brothers: Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves, and Ethan Hawke. Troy Duffy's explanation on each of these people was Brad Pitt has a terrible Irish accent, Keanu Reeves is a fucking punk, and Ethan Hawke is a talentless fool. Stephen Dorff, Brendan Fraser, and Nicky Katt were also potentials to play the brothers as well. If you're wondering why David Delarocco and his character share the same name, it's because the character was specifically written for the actor. Billy Connolly was originally just a comedian. He was brought in because they thought he could do the character of El Duce. They were very happy with his performance, but they actually ended up having to shove a cigar in his mouth because he couldn't stop smiling because he enjoyed so much playing this hitman character, and the cigar was the only thing that seemed to stop him from doing so. I also can't imagine anyone else being Agent Paul Smecker, but there was some other possibilities for casting as well. For instance, Miramax had some options where they wanted either Sylvester Stallone, Bill Murray, or Mike Myers. Other potential casting was Patrick Swayze, Robert De Niro, Kenneth Branagh, and Kevin Spacey. Gerard Parks plays Doc in this movie, who happens to be a foul-mouthed bartender dealing with Tourette's syndrome. What's really funny is Gerard Parks also played Doc in Fraggle Rock, which I can't help but make that headcanon to where it's the same character, because that just makes it absolutely hilarious. Near the beginning of the film, the Monsignor mentions Kitty Genovese. This was an actual woman in real life who was raped and murdered while eyewitnesses did nothing back in 1964. Also, speaking of violence, unfortunately, this movie came out only a few months after the Columbine shooting, so almost no theaters were showing the film. Luckily, it got a huge underground cult following afterwards. One more thing that's interesting to talk about when it comes to violence is apparently they kept trying to look at different Catholic churches to film some of their church scenes. Not a single Catholic church would allow them due to the violence of the movie, but there was a Lutheran church that did allow them to film. Troy Duffy, who directed the movie, also wrote it, and he also wrote the prayer that the McManus brothers state. It is now infamous and well known, and it is not actually a Bible verse, which many people think it is. The Aquitas and Veritas tattoos that the brothers have actually are Latin. Veritas stands for truth, and Aquitas stands for justice or equality. The body count for this movie is 33 people and one cat. Now, mind you, no animals were actually harmed during the filming, but the one cat does die in a very gruesome way. And one thing that made me laugh so hard the first time I realized it was where the bloodstain is on the wall after they've cleaned it up is now a picture of the cat. Boondock Saints is such an amazing film. The music that they choose for each scene is perfect, the acting is great, the cinematography is so good, and the story is fantastic. And let's not forget, it's incredibly quotable. So I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 5. Now, for the trivia question from the beginning of this video, how many times is the F word used in this film? Well, they certainly show the diversity of the word, as the word fuck is used 246 times throughout the film. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. Please check out our other videos, and if there is a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it down in the comments. Now, as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe.